Apple is the world's second largest information technology company by revenue. Fortune magazine named Apple the most admired company in the United States in 2008. Apple utilizes very different business strategies and models within the marketplace. Its strategy is to release few but highly anticipated high-end products. In the beginning, Apple was very careful about its mobile and tablet releases by originally allowing for long development cycles that grew anticipation and showcased new innovations. During the time of Steve Jobs, Apple's business strategy was to develop and sell brand new, innovative products which blended art and technology in order to provide a simple and streamlined user experience. At that time, Apple held a monopoly over the word innovation. Every product launch and even every Apple enthusiast extolled praise for the company's creativity and flair with technology. Apple labeled itself as the world's most innovative company. But as its competitors in the market are increasing rapidly, Apple has changed its strategy. Now Apple is softening its innovation edge and it's focusing on the market demand. Consumers now want the latest technology at a cheaper price. With this mindset of the consumers, Apple has recently launched a good range of the i5C. With the change of the business environment and market demand, is it possible for every company to change its strategy abruptly? And if they will not change their strategy, then what will happen? All of these are very important for any company to keep in mind. Hello all, and welcome to the lecture on Business Strategy and Technology Strategy, where we will understand what is business strategy and why it is important for any company. After the lecture, we will be able to learn the following objectives. Understand the role of strategy in business and technology. Explain the concept and nature of strategy. Describe the three aspects of strategy formulation. Understand the characteristics of core competencies. Explain the XY coordinate positioning matrix. Describe technology management framework. Let's start with a brief introduction to business strategy and technology strategy. In today's fast-paced and rapidly changing business environment, companies have deeply modified their strategies to integrate technology into the business planning process. Technologies are now everywhere in the firm's value chain. Thus, it's necessary for firms to adapt their strategic process as technology is pervasively important as part of the business function. This implies the need to study a technology strategy that links technology with business objectives. In particular, there are approaches for deciding which technologies one needs in order to support the strategic objectives of the business, determining competitive strengths and weaknesses in the technologies matter, setting corporate technology priorities, deciding on strategic actions to strengthen the position. Let's discuss the concept of strategy. The word strategy has entered the field of technology and management from the military services, where it refers to apply to the forces against an enemy to win a war. Originally, the word strategy was derived from Greek strategos, which means generalship. The word as used for the first time was about 400 BC. The word strategy means the art of the general to fight in war. Nature of strategy. Based on the definitions, one can understand the nature of strategy. A few aspects regarding nature of strategy are: strategy is a major course of action through which an organization relates itself to its environment, particularly the external factors, to facilitate all actions involved in meeting the objectives of the organization. Strategy is the blend of internal and external factors. To meet the opportunities and threats provided by the external factors, internal factors are matched with them. Essence of strategy. Strategy is characterized by four important aspects: long-term objectives, competitive advantage, vector, and synergy. Formulation of strategy. Strategy formulation concerns the choice of strategy in terms of where and how to compete. To understand the interdependencies across different levels, it's helpful to break down strategy formulation into three distinct levels: corporate, business, and functional.
As a continuation from our previous discussion about strategic issues, from whatever list you create when working with the organization, we need to then ask these questions to clarify. What is the real issue, conflict, or dilemma? Why is it an issue? What aspect causes the issue? And who says it's an issue? Because maybe it is for some and not for others. What are the consequences of not doing anything? Can we actually do something about that issue? Can issues be eliminated or combined? Because remember, we can't spread ourselves too wide, too broad. That'll cause problems. Does an issue need to be separated into two or more issues? Is it one department? Is it an issue for one department or across departments? And just as we have a department of why and continually look at the purpose of what we're doing, what are we missing in this? Strategic issues show us the gaps where bridges need to be built to either reach our goals or fulfill the vision, depending on which tack the organization is taking. And at times, that means that the strategy has to be very broad because the environment is changing so rapidly, being too specific will hinder outcomes. A direct quote from Bryson: "A strategy may be thought of as a pattern of purposes, policies, programs, actions, decisions, and or resource allocations that define what an organization is, what it does, and why it does it. Strategy, therefore, is an extension of the organization or the community's mission, forming a bridge between the organization and its environment." Henry Mintzberg wrote in the Harvard Business Review in 1994 about the rise and fall of strategic planning. The full article is in the doc sharing folder if you want to read it. Mintzberg identified four aspects of strategy in the above graphic. Intended strategy is strategy as conceived by the top management team. Even here, rationality is limited, and the intended strategy is the result of a process of negotiation, bargaining, and compromise involving many individuals and groups within the organization. However, realized strategy, the actual strategy that is implemented, is only partly related to what was intended. Mintzberg suggests that only 10 to 30% of intended strategy is actually accomplished. The primary determinant of realized strategy is what Mintzberg terms emergent strategy, the decisions that emerge from the complex processes in which individual managers interpret the intended strategy and adapt to changing external circumstances. Thus, the realized strategy is a consequence of both deliberate and emerging factors. And of course, a couple of direct quotes from Mintzberg here. Strategic planning is not strategic thinking. One is analysis, the other is synthesis. Real strategic change requires inventing new categories, not just rearranging the old ones. There are a number of ways to think about strategy, and we briefly touched on patterns already. With position, we're determining where the organization exists now in the marketplace and where we'd like to be in the future. Perspective planning relies heavily on organizational culture and would require a culture measurement tool. Osborne and Plastrick's book, Banishing Government, 1997 Perseus Books, discusses 5 key strategies of which the organization would only choose one. A core strategy sets clear goals and defines accountability. A consequence strategy creates new incentive systems. A customer strategy includes customers and competitors. A control strategy determines where decision-making power resides. And finally, a cultural strategy creates new, non-bureaucratic practices and processes within the organization for better efficiencies. Often using a strategy as the plan by identifying opportunities is not enough on its own to achieve the organizational objectives. Developing strategies as a posture or a ploy is simply a means of blocking your competitors. Strategies to address the issues we previously determined need to focus on addressing the new rules, design, concepts, changes, technologies, whatever's going to change within the organization. Creating processes that allow that activity to happen. Controlling strategy delivery. Delivering future capabilities, and maintaining and enhancing stakeholder relations, the most important aspect. There are 4 basic levels of strategy creation. Remember, though, that strategies aren't tactics. Tactics or action items are short-term activities underneath the strategies that determine our purpose. Though, as Mintzberg wrote in 1994, the trouble with the strategy-tactics distinction is that one can never be sure which is which until all the dust is settled. Strategy levels would start at the whole organization level, then move to subunits and individual program, service, or process strategy, and then, of course, operations, the functions that keep the organization running on a day-to-day basis.
Let's now talk about the methods used in analysis and decision-making. When running a business, making the right decisions can lead to success, while making the wrong ones can lead to failure. With so much riding on each decision, it's important that thoughtful consideration is put into each one that needs to be made. To help them, many business leaders go through a thoughtful decision-making process. Among some of the more popular options, which often use graphs, models, or charts, are decision matrix, T-chart, decision tree, multi-voting, Pareto analysis, cost-benefit, conjoint analysis, decision matrix. This is used to evaluate all the options of a decision. When using the matrix, create a table with all of the options in the first column and all of the factors that affect the decision in the first row. T-chart. This chart is used when weighing the pluses and minuses of the options. It ensures that all the positives and negatives are taken into consideration when making a decision. Decision tree. This is a graph or model that involves contemplating each option and the outcomes of each. Statistical analysis is also conducted with this technique. Multi-voting. This is used when multiple people are involved in making a decision. Pareto analysis. This is a technique used when a large number of decisions need to be made. Cost-benefit. This technique is used when weighing the financial ramifications of each possible alternative as a way to come to a final decision that makes the most sense from an economic perspective. Conjoint analysis. This is a method used by business leaders to determine consumer preferences when making decisions. Product evaluation matrix. Business policy can be set and decisions made on the basis of a 2x2 matrix analysis. New products are placed in one of 4 cells according to 2 factors. Is the product new to the world? What is the company's business strength or competitive position for this type of product? Market growth analysis matrix. One popular type of strategic analysis is based on using the market growth market share matrix, popularized by the Boston Consulting Group. This matrix is also known as the portfolio matrix because it can be used to analyze a corporate stockholding portfolio for investment decisions. Market share analysis matrix. Decisions can be associated with each matrix cell. Classifying a company into one of the 4 categories of the matrix is helpful in deciding on the strategy necessary to improve its performance. The common business wisdom is to continue to nourish the stars, milk the cows, get rid of the dogs, and nurse the problem children to health so that they develop into stars. Now we will discuss the XY coordinate positioning matrix. In XY coordinate systems, the x-axis represents one factor and the y-axis represents another factor. The axes will then represent a high and low relationship. A company or a product position with respect to the 2 factors can be plotted on the XY plane. M by N matrix. An M by N dimension matrix can be utilized as an aid to decision making when decision criteria have multiple levels. A company can be classified as having a low, medium, or high level of a certain criterion, such as market competence. Multiple level criteria provide a more refined classification and more decision options. The approach to the construction of a SWOT matrix are: list the key external opportunities, list the key external threats, list the key internal strengths, list the key internal weaknesses. Threats matrix. Changes in the external environmental area also may present threats to the firm. Some examples of such threats include shifts in consumer tastes away from the firm's products, the emergence of substitute products, new regulations, increased trade barriers. Now let's talk about formulation of strategy. A strategy is a broad plan developed by an organization to take it from where it is to where it wants to be. A well-designed strategy will help an organization reach its maximum level of effectiveness in reaching its goals while constantly allowing it to monitor its environment to adapt the strategy as necessary. Strategy formulation is the process of developing the strategy. The three aspects of strategy formulation. The three aspects or levels of strategy formulation, each with a different focus, need to be dealt with in the formulation phase of strategic management. The levels of formulations are corporate level strategy. In this aspect of strategy, it is concerned with broad decisions about the total organization's scope and direction. Competitive strategy, often called business level strategy. This involves deciding how the company will compete within each line of business or strategic business unit. Functional strategy. These are more localized and shorter horizon strategies that deal with how each functional area and unit will carry out its functional activities to be effective and maximize resource productivity. Direction of strategy. The vehicle for being competitive and achieving wealth can be visualized as an assembly of the components. Developing a strategy with a clear direction. Exploiting technological competence. Achieving high levels of productivity. Mounting an aggressive and persistent marketing effort. Now let's take a look at technology and concept of core competence. The meaning of technology is straightforward. Knowing how to do something well. Technology management for strategic advantage is more difficult. A core competency is a deep proficiency that enables a company to deliver unique value to customers. It embodies an organization's collective learning, particularly of how to coordinate diverse production skills and integrate multiple technologies. The characteristics of core competencies are: they provide a set of unifying principles for the organization, and they are pervasive in all strategies. They provide access to a variety of markets. They are critical in producing end products. They are rare or difficult to imitate. Integration. Core competencies are developed through the process of continuous improvements over the period of time rather than a single large change. To succeed in an emerging global market, it is more important and required to build core competencies rather than vertical integration. Now let's talk about linking technology and business strategies. The developments of technology strategy should initiate at the corporate level. It consists of strategic elements such as the vision, plans, and business needs, and then translates them into a realistic, objective, deliverable corporate strategy for the planning process. Technology is a critical tool to support business strategy. Technology can play a part in shaping business strategy. The overall strategies are based on technology competencies to create competitive advantages in the organization.
The second model that we're going to introduce here is what we usually call generic strategy, generic business strategy. And there's three generic business strategy identified by Porter. One is low cost, and which allow you to have the so-called cost leadership. Walmart was their everyday low price commercial is considered a success example in this category. Another strategy is called differentiation. Differentiation here primarily referring to the product or service a company offer. Try to have different features and functionality such that they can differentiate their product or service with other competitor. And both strategy, either cost leadership, low cost as a cost leadership, or differentiation, target a broad market. The third strategy is referred to as a focus strategy, as indicated here. And sometimes this is also referred to as market segmentation, which means you're focusing on certain segment of the market, a niche market in some cases. And certainly you can apply low cost or differentiation and when you use the focus strategy.
Creating the product technology business. The structured approaches to business and technology strategy begin with the development of objectives. Objectives should be quantitative, measurable, realistic, understandable, challenging, hierarchical, obtainable, and congruent among organizational units. Each objective also should be associated with a timeline. Objectives are commonly stated in terms such as growth in assets, growth in sales, profitability, market share, degree and nature of diversification, and so on. Now in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. In technology and management, the concept of strategy is taken in broader terms. Strategy is the unified, comprehensive, and integrated plan that relates the strategic advantage of the firm to the challenges of the environment and is designed to ensure that basic objectives of the enterprise are achieved through proper implementation process. Strategy provides overall framework for guiding enterprise thinking and action. The purpose of the strategy is to determine and communicate a complete picture of the enterprise through a system in a major objectives and policies. Corporate executives are responsible for setting overall strategy goals and allocating scarce resources among different business divisions, monitoring performance, and making adjustments to the overall portfolio for the business when needed. Understanding the competition and the market needs is also a critical factor. Multiple level criteria provide a more defined classification and more decision options. A market technology matrix is used to analyze the technical and the marketing competence necessary for strategic decision making in product innovation.